as you well know, I'm an idiot, and I'm just wondering what kind of sickness is this that I've got here. So this is a VHT D50, and this is the third time that I've bought this, and I've even set up the returns for it already before making this video this morning. I got it out, tried it last night. Okay, and then I was thinking, why have I done this again? I'm slightly disappointed. You know, compared it to the PRS MT100 just for myself and was like, I think I prefer the MT100. Then I've turned it back on again this morning. Last night before bed, I gave it a listen. I was kind of thinking like, well, what am I missing here? When I listened back to it recorded, those are some really great tones that are totally in the ballpark of what I'm liking.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
Right, plugging in. Moment of truth. Right, we'll start with everything about halfway. Rock, mid, right off.
I don't have any amps with an actual drive channel anymore. All of my amps are kind of single channel, like the Deluxe Reverb, the Pro Reverb, the Matchless Lightning clone from Rift. So I didn't have any, and that was kind of the thinking of this. I borrowed that TS1, I was like, right, let's try this. Now, having listened back to it and playing through it this morning, comparing it to the PRS MT100 again, I'm like, well, this just does way more of what I'm kind of looking for, is my immediate feeling today. So does this happen to you guys? Do you kind of like flip and flop and change gear? Yeah, I was chatting to Will Edmonds and Jake about it the other day, and Will was saying, Will is a great player, plays blues like around the Southwestern tours around Europe and stuff. He was kind of saying, you know, he used to spend a lot of time kind of flipping gear and, you know, trying out all of this stuff. And I definitely myself have gone through a lot of amps, and especially a lot of amps in this Dumble kind of vein, when I've kind of myself come to the conclusion that maybe the Dumble thing isn't even totally what I'm up for. But in any case, I've done it again, and actually this time armed with the knowledge that this OD trim here would normally be hidden away inside the amp. I think it's quite cool that they put this outside of the amp, but it also does add a little element of extra tweakability that makes it again a little bit hard sometimes to find what you're looking for on the Dumble amp. But what I found here is just set everything to 12 basically, you know, halfway up. The power amp and master, you know, I've got the presence set a little bit back. This amp has taken a bit of a bashing. Maybe I should be getting in touch with them. Anyway, so and then I've got the bright switch on, the mid switch on, the rock, but input halfway up. It's not as full in the low end as that 2 rock is by any means, and I was kind of doing some ABs with that, like listening back. This is definitely a little bit brighter and less full in the low end is kind of what I would say, which is maybe not necessarily an entirely bad thing. I think maybe in some cases that TS1 sounded a bit dark, maybe, I don't know, I've not tried gigging that live, but equally this is an £887 amp, the other one is a 4-5 grand amp, so I'm not going to spend 4 or 5 grand on an amplifier. I've already decided that. And the other thing is, I've had my best ever live tone, I think, this year, and it was the Pro Reverb with 2 EVM speakers in it, and just using the Fractal VP4 in front with a volume pedal as well. That was, I think, my best live tone that I've ever had. I'm going to try gigging this on Friday night. I've got a gig with Jake at the Firehouse, but I just kind of was a little bit puzzled by my own decision making there. I don't think they're that easy to get hold of anymore. Seems like they're kind of dialing back production. You can't really get hold of anyone at VHT either. Ruby tubes in it. Anyway, yeah, it's quite weighty. I've done other reviews on it, and I'll try and show you the settings, but yeah, putting this in 4 cable method, and just accepting that sometimes you might have to use pedals with stuff to get the sounds that you're wanting is kind of what I've learned over the last few years. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you tried one of these VHT things? Have you done this thing where you're buying like the same amp over and over again? This is a new one for me. I guess the Lone Star I did the same thing with, more or less. I've had 2 combos of the Lone Star on 1 head. Anyway, I don't think I'll be doing it again. Let me know in the comments, do you think I should return this one, or did you like the tones from it?